Okay, so when I was 16, I moved out of my house. It was an abusive situation with a stepdad, and I moved out when I was 16, and I just kind of trucked around a little, didn't live anywhere really, stayed with friends. Sometimes I would break into an apartment building and sleep in the stairwell. That's a little scandalous information. And by the time I think I was 17, moved to a kind of a bigger city, and ended up dating a guy who was troubled and really troubled, actually. And so we were together, and you know, when you're homeless and you're a kid, you just sort of stick with who sticks with you. So we ended up living together, and he had a brother who was a little bit older, who was a pimp, and had a girl who was a prostitute that was his property. That's how he felt about the situation. We ended up living together, all four of us, and so she would have to go out on the streets every day, every night, and sometimes they would make me go out and watch her, right? Because I don't actually understand, I still don't understand, but somebody always had to be watching, so they would send me out with her, and I would watch, I guess to make sure she was coming back or whatever. I was a kid, what do I know? But she had the most horrible life, right? Like, it was what opened my eyes to what is human trafficking and what is prostitution, really, because people have the idea that it's, you know, these girls that are rebellious, or you know, that they're just living this life, they want this money, and that isn't what's going on at all. She was 2 years old when she was taken out of her home and put in foster care, and immediately after that, her foster father started selling her out at 2 years old. 2 years old. By the time she was 13, she had enough, and she ran away, and she ended up on the streets of Vancouver. And what was she going to do? So she ended up meeting two guys. One of them was the one that I knew, and between prison sentences of theirs, she would be bounced back and forth between the two of them, who she belonged to. And she, anyway, so 13, then she would be bounced back and forth. When I ran into her, I think she was 26, totally addicted to heroin, obviously. So was he, and that was mostly why he sent her out onto the streets. I mean, living expenses, whatever, but they're not much when you're living that kind of life. But he would send her out every night so that they would have enough for heroin. And every night, every morning, I guess, they would come home, and it was awful. They would fight every single morning, and he would just beat on her so bad. And then the neighbors would phone the police, and every single morning they made me go downstairs and tell the police everything was fine. I had to do that, and you know, then I would have to clean up her hair and her blood from the floor. It was awful. So when she, I guess, you know, because I didn't know her long. I was only there, I think, you know, by the time that I'd known her, it wouldn't have been more than 7 months before, you know, I came out of that, because that wasn't a world that I understood or knew. But she ended up going back to Vancouver, I think, for a warrant. And then when she was in Vancouver, she got into some heroin that was really bad, and she overdosed and died. And that's her life, her whole entire life. So for me, what that did was just, it showed me, it laid a foundation for me to, I mean, she's not here anymore, but the girls that are here, the ones that are out there, you don't know what their stories are. You don't know why they're there. You can be sure that they're there because something went terribly wrong, and it has nothing to do with choice or wanting to be there. Or, you know, even for the rare few where maybe there is a sense of glamour to begin with, it doesn't last long. There's nothing glamorous about it. And that's my story of Sherry. I think about Sherry all the time. I think about Sherry every single day of my life. And I wish that I was stronger then. And I wish that she could have had one day
where she had, you know, hands that touched her, that loved her. But, I mean, she didn't, and that is what it is, but there are girls now who can, right, if we do the work, if we, you know, like what you're doing, the work that you're doing, and the many girls that have come alongside you and that I have come alongside me, and, you know, how we've joined hands. If we do that work, there are still girls that we can reach out to, and they can experience that difference, right? Which, that's why we're here. There's no other reason.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for sharing, Tina.
Yeah.
Whew.